Steve Young, Hall of Famer, three-time Super Bowl champ with the Niners, and won a Super Bowl MVP as well. Back on the program. Good to see you again. Is there a Shohei Ohtani in the NFL? Or was there?
Patrick is as close as anybody, right? I mean, that's as close as you get. But no, Shohei Ohtani. To pitch and to hit. I always just make fun of baseball. And fun of my baseball friends are like, I got a blister for 15 days. It's like then they go 162 games versus 16. We just go back and forth. But baseball, when you're pitching the ball, when you're pitching and shutting people out and then hitting home run, that game a couple weeks ago, that was the all-timer. So no, Patrick Mahomes is the one guy right now that I would put in that spot. But there are some Supermen, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson when he's healthy, Superman. There's some cool people to watch. That's for sure entertaining.
Knowing that we were going to have you on today, I was thinking about this last night, watching Patrick Mahomes keep a play alive. The difference between keeping a play alive and what these younger quarterbacks do in kind of scrambling. Is it semantics here? Because Mahomes seems to always do something correct where these younger guys try to extend a play and they end up getting sacked.
Dan, you're bringing up the most important question in sports, because if the NFL is the biggest sport in the game and the quarterback is the most important position, this is the most important question for quarterbacks, because the game today, of course, we talk about every week or whenever I'm on about the fact that it's now a game that's wide open and you have to attack the line of scrimmage from the quarterback position or else you're out. And so then becomes the question that I had to deal with my whole life is, when do you go? And what are we doing while we're waiting? And so I think and then how do you coach it? So many really smart quarterback coaches are now having to adjust and figure out, how do I coach a guy who can move around and can threaten the line of scrimmage? And so young players, like I think of Justin Fields right now going through this incredible challenge of the incredible athlete, right? I can do amazing things, but yet I need to be a sophisticated passer. I know it. I know in my heart that's what I've got to become. And so how do I hang in there and fake it till I make it kind of thing? And then when do I need to go? Because I don't really know. I'm not really sure. So I really got to lean on my athleticism. So the question of the day is that, how do I know? And then Patrick Mahomes has refined it, where he doesn't move unless it's purposeful. And because he owns the data, he's been around a long time. He is a sophisticated passer from the pocket. And so that allows him to get the most out of every play. And when you get the most out of every play, then when the play is dead, when it's done, or I don't have a choice, I'll go. And once I go, that's a whole other play. That's a play we didn't call, but it's a play we get. And now I get another chance to run a new play on offense. And then I have another play, a third play. I'm actually going to run it. And he has that unique ability of his body. It's like he doesn't even really try it, or he's kind of like gliding and people are missing. And he's like, so there's three really distinct plays for Patrick. And when you really understand the game, you can't. That's why it's so hard to stop. And the young players, they have three plays, but they don't run them right, and they're trying to figure out how to run them.
Can you single out the greatest season a quarterback has ever had?
No, because it's era adjusted. You got different times and places, and it's impossible to me. There are some amazing years that people have had, but obviously, I guess you've got to be the MVP and win the Super Bowl to make it that list.
Yeah.
And then it becomes pretty subjective to people about what, how old they are when it happened, and who they liked, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Mahomes and I'm thinking, while watching Ohtani, I'm witnessing the greatest baseball player of all time. I am. I'm watching it right. I got to see Michael Jordan play. I'm witnessing that firsthand. And I'm watching Mahomes, and he's not the greatest quarterback of all time, but I'm watching him play a position that's the toughest position in all of sports, and he plays it in such a unique way. And he's played it where he throws for 50 touchdowns, and then he throws for 25 touchdowns, and is still as effective.
Yeah. And I think, okay, first of all, let's back up. Real quickly, a little history lesson. We do this every time. 10 years ago, they changed the rules. And the rules were you can't launch defenders in the head first. And so it opened the game up. And so it changed so that now you can run college plays. You can run the slip screens. You can run all the cool stuff and fun stuff. And Patrick is the person for today's game.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's not kid ourselves. The innovative minds who jumped into that rule change: Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Sean Payton. Those are the big four that jumped in and had a tactical advantage for a little while. So you've married one of the most innovative minds and continually innovative with Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes. That's what I watch every week. I don't watch just Patrick Mahomes every week. I watch Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes every week, and how they have combined to create all this fun stuff. And then Patrick's refined his game. I appreciate what you're saying, Dan. This is a time for for us to watch Patrick Mahomes and just sit back and in awe of the athleticism, the brain, the intuition, and the presence. One thing I remember when I watched him Monday night, I was there in Denver when he first started, and I was standing right on the sidelines, and I've watched quarterbacks my whole life, and I had this feeling, it's like he looks like he's playing the backyard, like just just how he feels, like it's just nothing really. He's kind of laughing and having a good time, and here's his first start. He's scrambling left, and right at the end of the scramble, he takes the ball from his right and throws it and puts it in his left and throws it for a completion. Maybe Kelsey or something, I can't remember. And I'm like, and then he stood up and he's like, "How about?" I think he said to the ref, "How about that?" Huh? And I thought to myself, I could only dream of being that guy that could just like be in the backyard, but yet playing the best football in the world. I think he's a magical person.
Talking to Steve Young, the Hall of Famer. Give me the team that you're still not sure about.
How about a list? Meaning the Eagles, I'm not sure.
Really?
Packers, I'm not sure. They're getting more sure. Obviously, the last week was the truth. Every game was like, well, that's the truth. And so the truth throughout the league was we went through the preseason of September. We've kind of figured out who we are. Now we're gonna tell you the truth, and that's why the Eagles, I think, and the Giants, that was the truth, and the Packers was the truth. And so there's a lot of teams. The Rams, I'm getting to know those teams and figure that they're going to be there in the end. But who do you want to talk about? Because I mean, I think
like the Colts, it feels like we're going to wait until the postseason to go. I told you,
haven't done it. Daniel Jones, like the Colts, like it's just we're all history majors, right? And so the Colts are not that historical last 10, 15 years, like, oh yeah, the Colts will be there. Now the Chiefs, you got to figure they're going to be there, and the Bills are, they'll be there. The Eagles and even the Packers, I understand all that. The Colts, they always have to figure out how to prove it to you in January, February. That's just because they're new. When you're new, you got it. No one cares. Like, hey, this is fun. This is nice. But all right, we'll see you. We'll see in January when you go to Kansas City.
Kansas City's got the Bills coming up. They got a bye week. They're at the Broncos. They host the Colts.
It's fun.
Tough sledding.
But I always said regular season. I mean, when we played the Cowboys in regular season, whoever won that game was like, ooh, it didn't. It mattered, but it didn't matter. It wasn't the thing. It's a sign. It's important. It's not nothing, but it's also not January. So I think there's a difference. You have to make sure you keep that in mind.
But how do you try harder at the quarterbacking position as a regular season game against the Cowboys and then a postseason game?
It always reminded me during the week when you have a big game coming up and you have some quote from one of the other team's defensive line, like, we're gonna get Steve Young. I'm so focused. I'm like, really? I mean, honestly, like, you're more focused to kill me than the week before when you wanted to go, like, stop. And that's why I think even from teams and quarterbacks, like, it is an emotional game. That's why Newt Rockney's famous, right? Because he made a speech and everyone's like, oh, we're great. Like, it is, you have to be inspired to go run into people. So it does matter. And it does, and you can get lulls of emotion. And you see games where people are flat and it really shows up in football. But trying extra hard, that really the best teams, Dan, it's like they don't look like they're trying extra hard. Like they're still focused, they're mature about it, right? It's like we come out of the locker room, we're actually we don't care who we play. We know that we're about trying to find out how good we are, and that's our quest. And so if you think you're pretty good, great, come on in, we'll check you out, and we'll see how we stand. The mature teams don't get up. Oh my gosh, this is the game. And then the next week's like, oh, flat. That's the Cowboys, right? That's how they roll. And that's not as mature.
I was growing up and playing football, you're always cognizant of this is going to hurt. I'm going to get hit. This is going to hurt. Like, when do you graduate to you don't think about that's going to hurt? When I get hit, do you graduate to that point where you don't think about it?
I will tell you, Dan, I think that's probably why you're not pro. Because I don't think I ever really thought to myself, oh, this is. But I will say, I'm football is the truth. And no one ever, at the moment of impact, thinks, oh, I'm getting paid. Like, you might think about it when you're in line of scrimmage. You're thinking, man, I'm getting paid, and this is good. And then all of a sudden, the game, and then so when you get hit, and that's why football is such an amazing game, because there is a truth to it that no one cares at the moment of impact who's getting paid what, and that's what really matters. And it's very. I think pro. I some of the greatest athletes in the world. I watch them.
No, hold on here. I think we lost you a little bit. Wait, are you back now? Can you hear?
I'm here.
You got it? Okay. Yeah, that you chopped up a little bit there. So whatever that genius was that you were saying, yeah, I'm sure it's very insightful.
There's so many guys that start in the league, and they're the most amazing athletes in the league, and then they find their way out of the game in 3 or 4 years. And you're like, what happened to that guy? Well, what happened to that guy is he didn't love football. He thought about, wow, this is going to hurt. Like the game itself, there's a love for it that the pro game forces you. It's a referendum on whether you love it. And I've seen a lot of amazing athletes that just don't love it. And the pro game, the college game doesn't force you out like that. The cheerleaders and the alumni and all that stuff. But pro game, it's the referendum, and the guys leave the game because you just said, this is going to hurt. And then and the guys that play forever, they actually never think about it, which is weird.
But you got hurt, you got hit, you suffered concussions, but you never thought, God, that hurts, or this is going to hurt. You see somebody coming right at you and go, God, this is going to hurt.
Well, I remember the Fridge. Remember William the Fridge 380. His football card said 350. If you admit 350, you're 410. You know what I mean? And I remember he got me up under my chin, right straight up, and then was toppling me over and was going to land on. I thought, I'm going to die. Like this is it. I'm going to be. There's no way my body can withstand this, and it did. It didn't. I thought it would break. It didn't break, which is crazy. It did take the wind out of me, but it didn't break me. But I think, yeah. Here's how I'll say it. If it hurts during the game, it's gonna be a problem the next week. Like usually adrenaline and everything else, you don't really notice, and then after the game, you're in the shower, you're like, "Holy crap, that hurts." But then that's something that's going to give you'll figure out by Wednesday. But if it hurts during the game and you're on the sidelines and like, man, then you got a problem. That's how you know.
Well, like Cam Scatterbo, so dislocates his ankle, but I don't know if the body protects you in that moment or there's shock because he's pointing. He knows that it's serious, but it doesn't look like he's in agony. And I don't know what happens to the body in a moment like that where you see guys blow out their knee or, have devastating injuries and then they get carted off and they're giving a thumbs up to the crowd. I'd be weeping.
Yeah, I think sometimes I would say that I didn't have anything terrible ever happen, which I'm grateful for. But the guys that I know who did talk about it as if, especially in the knee, when it's kind of blown out, it doesn't hurt. Like the pain's, already happened. But it just depends. But I'm telling you, the toughest human beings I have ever known to play football. I'm sure I wasn't in a lot of other spots where the toughest human beings hang out, but I did hang out in football. And I'm telling you, I remember going back to my Tampa Bay days, the season I played in Tampa with James Wilder. James Wilder, running back from Missouri, and we were 2-14, and I remember thinking, like, you guys are losers. And I'm like, have you met James Wilder? That dude is not a loser. That man is the toughest human being I think I've ever met in my life. And that's the other thing that you don't realize that so many guys are toiling in the NFL that you don't know. that are the toughest bastards that ever lived. I mean,
Yeah, but you gave him the ball 350 times, the poor
oh,
guy.
don't make up some number like you're that fast. You're not that fast with the stats.
Okay, Paulie, would you check and see? Wilder, I think, has had the most carries in a season in NFL history.
I think it was like 407 for the record. We're checking.
Oh, no, you guys are both just trying to. Come on, don't.
Why didn't you throw the ball a little bit, Steve? You gave it to James Wilder.
The greatest story of James Wilder, we're in the blizzard in Green Bay, and I'm sorry if I repeat this story. And I not completed a ball. I'm like 0 for 11. And it's like the second quarter. And I'm like, my first game I ever played or second game I've ever played in the NFL. I turn to James, I go, James, jump in front of me, and I'm going to shovel the ball to you. So I have a completion because I'm afraid that I don't want to be the only quarterback in the history of the game that didn't have a completion. So you can see his stats that day. It's Wilder, 1 catch, -4.
Paulie, do you have the numbers there on Wilder?
The most carries James Wilder had for Tampa was 1984, 407 carries, 1,544 yards.
Damn.
And you talk about feeling every one of them, like, he was a tough man. And so that's what I guess what you're saying is there's guys that are ready for the game because they are the toughest humans you ever met.
Do you have your Tampa jersey framed?
No, I don't have anything framed, but I think I have a Tampa jersey. I'm very proud of this. You know, it was funny that season. It was funny to be in a team that was so dysfunctional and but yet such good guys, but just the culture, the leadership, it was just a mess. It was a total mess.
Because I would have one that was game used because you probably have grass stains and turf all
no,
over.
but here's the problem. So we have these orange jerseys, but because they can't find any material that's orange, they get it from, somewhere where it's thick. It's like this thick. You could almost fold it and it would make a crease. You know what I mean? Like,
and it was hot down there.
Does anyone know we're in Tampa?
Yeah.
Like, where's the mesh, bro? Just pull out, get me some orange mesh. Why do we have to have this thick, like Canadian goose jersey? It's just stupid. Stuff like that. You're just like, come on, man. Like, let's get this figured out.
Good to talk to you again,
Daniel. Good man.
Thank you, Steve. That's Steve Young. He didn't get hurt. I remember getting hit one time, and I was like, I don't want to play this sport. I could throw, but I just didn't want to get hit. And I remember they brought me back for an alumni game. I didn't even play high school football. And they said, we don't have a quarterback. Would you play quarterback? And I remember going to the line of scrimmage, and my offensive guard, he weighed, I'm going to guess, 150 pounds. And we had guys on the other side who played football in college. And it was one of the worst decisions I ever made in my life. Because all I kept thinking is, those guys over there played in the Mid-American Conference, and they're going to hurt me. And it brought back all those memories where I'm like, I don't want to play. And they're like, we don't have a quarterback in the even year. It was even versus odd years for a high school alumni football game.